So, Ashwini is the point where the spark of life was born, and Bharani was where it was containerized and nourished, harmoniously nourished, we can say. Now, when Kritika Nakshatra, the differentiation, the concept of differentiation came, and so it's actually a kind of identity formation has started in the Kritika Nakshatra. And then Rohini is where this particular segregation got some beauty, the segregation of this universal energy present in the cosmic womb. And so this is the order: Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, and then you can see Mrugashira. So once this particular, the individual parts, even though they are not completely divided in Kritika Nakshatra, got some beauty in Rohini. Now in Mrugashira, one part of the universal energy tried to connect to the another part of the energy, which is a kind of seeking energy, searching for a kind of connection. So, and also it's something like searching for its purpose, you can say that. So that searching process present in the Mrugashira Nakshatra, searching for some connection, that's where this whole gravity, the origin of gravity, and then relationship, establishing a kind of relationship among all the different parts of the universe present in the cosmic womb started. Now, this searching process, and then there is a kind of connection in the material plane. If you observe, in the mother's womb, when the fetus is being developed, then Mrugashira is where this neurons and the connectivity elements in the human body would be forming. You can relate the universal energy in the cosmic womb to the human energy or the fetus in a mother's womb this way. So basically, Ashwini, the first impulse, the first cosmic ignition, is the point where the prana is born, and Bharani is where it's contained. It has given some boundaries, it's nourished, and then Kritika is where the differentiation begins. Before Kritika, everything in the cosmic womb was a kind of undifferentiated energy. So Kritika is where this undifferentiated energy is cut, or is separated, is differentiated, or is defined. So the concept of self and not self, this kind of separation is originated in Kritika. So we say in Kritika, identity was born. How this whole cutting process happened? It was by the cosmic flame, Agni. So that's a kind of cosmic fire which separated the individual parts of the whole universal energy in the cosmic womb. And Rohini is where the beauty was added. So universe started getting some kind of shape and attractiveness in Rohini. So it's a kind of stabilization. You can see something is being stabilized. That's where moon is ruling that Rohini, because moon stabilizes, nourishes, and gives attractive physical form. So that's why Rohini always says, let's make the life beautiful. Let's make the things beautiful. I see Rohini as a kind of cosmic painter. As the beauty is created in Rohini. And then Mrigashira is where the individual parts which are being formed, even though they are not completely formed, they are searching for their purpose. They are trying to connect with other parts of the universe. So it's something like Mrigashira is a cosmic sense. It's a cosmic sense organ in the universal energy. So that's where if you imagine this universal energy as a human energy, that's where the nervous system that we talk in biology is actually started forming. But that is a kind of connection energy in the cosmic womb. So in Mrigashira, it tries to connect, it tries to sense directions, it tries to move, it tries to touch the reality, it wants to feel the others in the universe. So that seeking, that searching for getting some purpose or connecting to somebody or feeling the others in the now once the identity is beautified in Rohini and Mrigashira, they were trying to sense others. That's where the first form, the first feeling of sensing, was born in Mrigashira. The first feeling of sensing something. So that's soft, that's sensitive, and that in that sensing, a kind of searching and seeking energy is also present. Right? Very, very sensitive energy that is present in Mrigashira. It's highly perceptive also, and always moving to find something meaningful, right? Searching for something meaningful, curiosity, right? That's where the curiosity element is also present, because the individual elements of the universe being formed and every part is trying to sense some other part. So it's a kind of first active mind-like moment, a curiosity-like moment, searching kind of moment, seeking, touching, sensing, right? So it's something like, what am I here? What I am trying to do here? It's kind of searching for some purpose. Now what happens in Ardra then? Once it is touching the individual parts of each and every individual part of the universal energy is trying to touch the other part, then now a kind of connection is happening among all these individual elements of the universe. In Ardra Nakshatra, a more powerful psychological transformation started happening in the universal energy. How? Let's see. Mrigashira is about that seeking, that curiosity, and finally it led to a kind of a shock, because each and every part of the universe is trying to seek, trying to search for some purpose and trying to touch the other part, trying to make some kind of connection with other part of the universe. Then suddenly the universal energy, every part of the universal energy became aware of a pain, became aware of a kind of confusion, a kind of the harshness of reality, a kind of limits of the form that is created, the limits of the ego, a kind of impermanence. Is because before this whole universal energy was part of before Ashwini, this was all part of this was all part of an infinite plane or infinite flame or a kind of unknown energy. Then it was something like, it was something else. It was completely moving. It did not know any kind of sense, and it was a kind of infinite, right? It was a kind of godly thing before it even coming into life in Ashwini. So this particular energy, as it started sensing in Mrigashira, then in Ardra suddenly it understood that it is no more a kind of an infinite energy kind of thing. It has some form now. It has some limits. It has some limits because of the form that it wanted, and it has some confusion, it has some pain. Now it has some kind of harshness of reality. That's why Ardra is called as a kind of cosmic breakdown. Of course, it's both painful and cleansing. We'll talk about that. But it is a cosmic breakdown. It's the tear of Shiva. Because the form realizes that it is temporary. It is temporary. It has some limitation. The identity realizes that it is limited. And the seeker realizes the world is not just beauty, it also has storms. So the universe enters a cleansing thunderstorm here. The universe started understanding that it has some limitations. It's a kind of shock for the entire universe. That's why Rudra is called as a violent power that breaks illusion, and truth can be very much clear now. So in the process of evolution, after curiosity comes the conflict. After seeking comes a kind of dissolution. After form comes destruction of the false thinking. So now the universe came to know that it has some limits. It has got some form, so it has some limits. It cannot do whatever it wants. It cannot do whatever it wants now, right? So it's a kind of, the false thinking is completely destructed, completely dissoluted now. The kind of false thinking, the dissolution happened in Ardra is such kind of dissolution that the individual part of the universe now came to know that it has some form. But before it was born in Ashwini, it was a kind of limitless being. It was a kind of, godly thing. So it did not have any limitations that time. But the moment it came to Ardra, it realizes that, because after sensing in Mrigashira, it came to know that it has some limitations. So it's a kind of thunderstorm in the universe. Every part of the universe came to know this fact that it has some form, it has limitations to its identity. So the universe started crying to some extent. It's the tears of Shiva, you can say. Now, Ardra is a kind of purification here. It's a kind of purification of what? The consciousness of the universe. The consciousness is very clear about its existence now. The mating of this consciousness and awareness, which is again termed to be a kind of consciousness, but still it has the form now, and it realized that it has some limitations. So if you see, Ashwini is a spark of this life, and Bharani is a containment of it, and a kind of harmonious nourishment happened, and Kritika is where the differentiation or segregation of each and every part of the universe started happening, and Rohini is where the beautification or the stabilization of this physical form of the universe started, and then Mrigashira is where every individual part of the universe seeking for something else. It wanted to know what else is present beside to it. And every part of the universe now searching for some purpose. A kind of sensory exploration happened in Mrigashira. A kind of nervous system activation in the universe happened in Mrigashira. Now it sensed. Once it sensed, Just every part of the universe tried to sense every other part. That's it. A kind of storm in the universe, a kind of dissolution of a kind of ego, or dissolution of some kind of false thinking, a conflict, a painful clarity in the universe. It's a transformation in the universe in Ardra, because in Ardra it came to know that it no more a godly being, it no more an endless thing. It has some form now, it has some limitations, it has some limitations to its ego, and that's it. Ardra is a very big shock in the universe. So Ardra is the shock, is a shock in the universe. Every part of the universe experienced that shock, and you were also part of that shock. Remember, you were, every individual being of, every human was in that universe that time, right? So we also experienced everything that I talked about so far. So Mrigashira, which is a kind of gentle searching, which is a kind of curiosity, which is a kind of a joyful curiosity to know what is present beside me or everywhere. It tries to search, and the moment it came to know, it's a very big shock for this, for each and every individual part of the universe. That shock is Ardra. Ardra is something like, oh my God, the truth breaks me. It's the storm of purification in the universe, shattering, a kind of shattering, a kind of awakening in the universe. So this is why Ardra is one of the most important spiritual nakshatras, right? So here the searching, the curiosity ended in a kind of shock. It's a kind of shock in Ardra. Searching for meaning, searching for purpose, searching for connection. Every individual part of the universe was so curious. Oh my God, with that awareness and consciousness, we became this. We are very, very excited. We are very curious to know what we are now. What is present beside me? Let me check. Every part was thinking that in Mrigashira, and suddenly in Ardra, it got a very big shock that, oh my God, we are limited here. We are limited. We have a form and we are limited. We cannot have infinite ego. We cannot be a kind of godly being now. We are limited. Suddenly, the self realizes its temporary, limited existence. The curiosity ended with a kind of dissatisfaction. The curiosity started in Mrigashira, ended with a kind of dissatisfaction in Ardra Nakshatra. Shock of existential truth. That is Ardra. A shock of existential truth. That is Ardra. A very big shock. A very big thunderstorm in the entire universal energy. Ardra is the shattering realization. It's not a simple realization. It's a very big shock for the universe. The universe now came to know that I am limited. My identity is temporary. My form is not permanent. But before Ashwini, I was permanent. I was a kind of godly being. I was infinite. I was infinite. But now in Ardra, it realized, oh my God, my form is not permanent. My identity is very, very temporary, because I am seeing it now. I sensed it and I got a shock. My search will not find anything final outside me. So this realization happened in Ardra Nakshatra, is very, very painful. So that's why Ardra is a kind of cry. It's the tear, it's the shiver, it's the storm, it's the storm, and it is the breakdown. It is the emotional earthquake in the universe. It is the emotional earthquake in the universe. But it's not negative. It's not negative, it's a kind of purifying. It came to know, it has got a very good clarity. The universe has got its first clarity in Ardra Nakshatra. Right? Ardra is the collapse of that curiosity. Ardra is the collapse of that false curiosity, we can say. So Mrugashira is lovely searching, a soft, gentle searching, a gentle curiosity, which is a bit naive. It is trying to search something outside. It wants to attach to something outside. It thinks the purpose would be lying somewhere around. And now finally in Ardra the illusion is collapsed. It has got some brutal clarity in Ardra. The universal energy has got some brutal clarity in Ardra Nakshatra. It's a kind of, in Ardra, the energy now is feeling, oh my God, stop searching. Look at the truth. This is the truth. This is what you wanted, So this causes the first spiritual shock wave in the entire universal energy. This is why Ardra people also experience some kind of intense realizations in their life. That's a kind of deep emotional cleansing. It's a kind of truth hitting them very, very suddenly, and transformation after suffering. Ardra is transformation after suffering. It's a kind of major turning point in your life. Right? So if you have planets connected to Ardra, that's where you get the major turning point in your life. But the pain in Ardra is still treated as a kind of divine. The pain is real, of course, the pain is real. The universe experienced pain first time in Ardra. But the purpose is higher. Even God wanted the universe which came from Him, might have come from Him. He also wanted the universe to know this particular truth. And in Ardra, the universe came to know that truth, that it is not permanent, it is temporary. It's a very big shock for the universe. The pain is real, but the purpose is higher. Basically, Ardra is breaking the ego here. Right? So that's why Ardra is called as the Shiva's tear. But it's a pain that is purifying the universal energy. Ardra, the form, realizes the universal form. Every individual part of the universe realizes it is temporary. Its curiosity collapsed. It understands its limitations, and there is a shock, there is a pain and transformation. There is a pain, there is a transformation. So, Mrugashira, the curiosity, the connection, the searching, ended with a kind of shock in Ardra. It's a kind of impulse in Ardra, kind of realization of limitation in Ardra, and ego is collapsed in Ardra. Now, what this universe started thinking now? Now it came to know what it did, finally. Right? It came to know its limitation now. Now what happens in Punarvasu then? Punarvasu is called as the return to light after the storm. Returning again to the good, to the light, to the original purity. Right? Ardra destroyed all the illusions of the universal energy. Of course, Punarvasu cannot bring the whole universe to the original purity that it had when it even was not born, but the universal energy now started thinking, let's build it again. Now Ardra destroys illusions, Punarvasu trying to rebuild it truthfully, without ego, without confusion. Now the ego is broken in Ardra, the confusion is also broken in Ardra, that it has no more a kind of infinite godliness, it's a kind of limited form in the universal energy. Now in the Punarvasu, it tries to rebuild, it tries to become the original purity. It's something like Punarvasu is treated as the first peace after a big emotional storm, a clarity after crying. The reconstruction after identity collapse in Ardra happened in Punarvasu. The rebirth of meaning happened in Punarvasu. The return of inner stability started happening in Punarvasu. This is why Punarvasu's deity is Aditi, the mother of gods, the energy of boundless grace. Now, what exactly happened in Punarvasu then? Kind of reassembling of identity, but it is purified energy. Now in Ardra, the ego is completely shattered. The identity is clear now. It's very, very clear. Now it started rebuilding without confusion, without false searching, without illusions, without any kind of emotional noise. Punarvasu is like rebuilding a house after a storm. This time with some strong foundations. Okay, we did something, we came here and we sensed what is beside us, and it's a shock. We have got some form now, right? And then we cried, and then now we are trying to we are trying to rebuild again something great now. Let's rebuild something great now. Of course we got a form. Let's try to be the original purity again. That forgivingness, that kind of hope started in Punarvasu. So Ardra's pain contracted the consciousness. Punarvasu gently started expanding it again. Ardra started crying, and after crying it has got some clarity. Now Punarvasu started building something again. What is that something? Let's build the original purity again. That is the shouting in Punarvasu. Right? So, it's a hope. And that hope is a very great hope for the universe. Because Punarvasu has that emotionally it started saying, it started shouting, let's rebuild that original purity. And Jupiter rules Punarvasu, because only Jupiter knows how to expand with wisdom and not with illusion, and that's why Jupiter rules Punarvasu. Now Mrigashira, with curiosity it searched, and in Ardra it has got some shock, and in Punarvasu, let's see what is happening. Let's rebuild the original purity. Okay, let's rebuild the original purity. How can we rebuild? Now, it came to know that something is outside, and we are not in our original form now. We have got some, we were formless before, and now we have got some form and limitations. Now, in Punarvasu, it started finding the meaning inside, because outside everything is form. What is within us now? So this is the nakshatra where the purpose begins to take some kind of shape, a kind of stability after crying in Ardra. So Mrigashira is searching and with some curiosity, and Ardra is that collapse of that false thinking and whatever ego it had, and Punarvasu is stabilizing the truth after some collapse. Of course, in Punarvasu you can observe some calmness initially. The first calmness of the universe is in Punarvasu, and the self-awareness started in Punarvasu. Let's see what is inside us now. Let's see what is inside us. So, it's something like trying to understand what is inside us. That is Punarvasu. What is my inner thing here? What is my inner emotions here? What is my what is inside me, basically? That is Punarvasu. Let's try to rebuild what is inside. So Punarvasu is now trying to find some direction, trying to find some meaning, for some kind of inner harmony it is trying to find, some kind of stable expansion it is trying to find. It's where the cosmic healing started happening, right? So Ardra breaks that false ego, and Punarvasu trying to rebuild the true self. Let's understand what is inside. Let's try to rebuild the original purity with what is present inside me. That rebirth of energy is Punarvasu. So now Punarvasu started understanding what is inside and trying to rebuild the original purity, right? And Ardra is when the universe first discovered its limitation. Because it understood that these individual forms that we got now, we cannot expand infinitely. That's the intelligence that Ardra has got. We have some limited identity now. That's a kind of shattering insight, right? And the Rudra in Ardra actually destroyed the illusion of the universe in cosmic level, of course. So, because see, the universe has some knowledge. It knows that everything that has a form must eventually break. Rohini, of course, created some beautiful forms, and Mrigashira tried to connect, tried to sense, and now once it sensed, it has got a shock in Ardra. And Ardra, the universe has got some idea that, oh my God, our forms are limited. We are not eternal anymore, right? So this is the first time the cosmos realized that structures, these structures are not permanent. These forms would decay. The identity is very, very temporary. This energy, the having this form is temporary. The shock is a cosmic shock. It's a cosmic shock in Ardra. The universe realized its temporariness, right? So in Mrigashira, the whole universal energy was very, very curious. It was exploring everything else, and it was trying to touch everything possible. It trying to form the connections everywhere in the universe, assuming everything lasts forever. That kind of innocence also present in Mrigashira. But in Ardra, it realized the forms are temporary. It realized, the forms we have got now are temporary. But in Punarvasu, it tried to understand, okay, the forms we got are temporary, but what is inside us? What is inside us? Can we rebuild the original purity that we had before even was born, right? With what is inside us. So, the universe tried to find some kind of purpose with what is inside it in Punarvasu Nakshatra. So, that is where a kind of looking into what is inside us started in Punarvasu. Let's continue in our next videos. What happened next?